So Townsville Crocs this year picked up sort of an under the radar sort of former NBA player signing, Mikael Gladness, who's probably going to lead the league in blocks this year. They picked up Clint Steinel, lost PC, also re-signed the big
country.
Yeah, big country, Brian Conklin. Do you reckon those guys are going to sneak in the top four, or do you reckon they're going to miss out again this year?
I think they are going to sneak in. I think that it's not going to be a ride in the park for them to be able to get there. But if you look at what they've been able to bring into the team, you spoke about re-signing Conklin, Mikael Gladness, who I feel, it's a bit ahead of myself. The fact he hasn't played a game, but could go down as the best rim protector in NBL history. And bring in Steidl, who's a guy who really he's due to sort of go take that next step now and go from being a guy who can hit the outside shot to a lethal scorer in the league. So I really like the additions that they've done and the team they've pulled together now. It's now a team that sort of fits what Stephen Dennis is trying to do perfectly. Having a real run and gun up, fast-paced team, and brought in a few athletic guys. And so I really like what they've done, and I think that they're going to be a really fun team to watch this year, and they're going to be a team that's going to win a hell of a lot of games.
So what do you think of their backcourt? They've got Mitch Norton, they've got Mirko in there as well. Someone that everyone kind of forgets about. They've got Toddy Blanchfield who can switch down. You've got you got Clint Steinel, and of course you've got Stevie in there as well. Probably one of the best point guards, if not the best Australian point guard in the league. How do you rank that backcourt against someone like a Melbourne United, which has Stephen Dennis and Daryl Corletto and players like that?
Well, it's sort of a different backcourt in a way. I mean, you look at the Melbourne backcourt, and a lot of that is built around scoring and creating on offense. And whilst their backcourt, I mean, you look at Stevie Markovic. He's a lockdown defender, and that's really the big thing that he brings to that team. I mean, we talk about Damian Martin being the best point guard defender in the NBL. I feel, and Adam Gibson being up there as well. He's right with those guys. I mean, he's just such a hard guy to get past on the defensive end, and so I think with him and with Mirko. I mean, Mirko, we've seen him improving year to year. He definitely stepped up last year, going up to Townsville from what we saw from him down here in Wollongong, and he's got a hell of a lot of talent for his age, and so he's definitely going to have another leap this year.
Do you think the Brian Conklin re-signing is actually? Yeah, it's a really good one. He's played New Zealand a few years. This will be his second year in Australia. He hasn't talked about becoming naturalised, but he has said that he wants to stay in Australia. Do you think that they could have potentially found a diamond in the rough? Like they could have signed him now, and then who knows if things work out in Townsville, he could be an Aussie.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely a perfect case of a guy to come and become an Aussie in this league because he loves it down here. He loves Oceania. I mean, we see him play every year in New Zealand. We've seen him now in his second year in the NBL. He's definitely a guy who his career and what he can do really fits for what it is down here, and he enjoys himself. I could definitely see him becoming naturalised, becoming an Aussie or a Kiwi, and being able to stay here longer as an on-import. And man, full credit to him as well for what he was able to do last year. I thought he was going to be the worst import out of all the imports that were brought in. I mean, that was more of me taking a dig at the, I think, naivety of the New Zealand league. But what he was able to offer that team and just be the guy, just doing stuff around the boards, being able to use his strength to be able to get his looks. And I mean, he was a guy who was probably one of the top half of the imports last year, and he's definitely going to come back big this year too.
So the Crocs have also moved away from the furnace or the swamp or whatever you like to call it, depending on what year you're in. They've moved across over to Townsville RSL. Do you think that's a good move? I mean, they were bleeding a bit of money over at the swamp, and apparently the RSL is a lot cheaper, and they think they can get ahead. But it's a lot smaller. You're talking 2,000 to 2,500 maximum seat sort of capacity. You have those tables like the New Zealand Breakers have. They're just randomly on the side.
Yeah, just random trestle tables for,
Do you think that's a good move, to move it across town to go to the smaller stadium?
Well, from a guy who loves my corporate entertainment, I wouldn't mind a trestle table every now and then. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, it's a good move for them. I mean, they were struggling to sell out the times they were only getting 2,500 people to games, even less than that, even though the stats probably didn't say that. Yeah. But I mean, definitely a logical move. It's a lot cheaper for them. They're probably not going to be losing money off games now like they were. And I mean, they've been a team that's been under a lot of financial hardship lately, and they need all the support they can get financially and really for the club. So it's definitely the right move for them, and it's something that, I mean, other teams should really look at moving forward if they're struggling with their deals. Taking a few games to, whether it be into the country or into smaller suburban stadiums. stadiums like potentially Knox for Melbourne or Bankstown for Sydney. It's definitely something that teams should look at. I mean, even there's a good secondary stadium in Wollongong as well, which should be used.